Hey, it's Professor Gugis here, and I've got a brief video for you today on the idea of gatekeeping and target audiences and how to create an enemy. Now, the idea here is really simple, okay? As a member of the media, you are supposed to tell the truth. But, as we have found out, truth is kind of a squishy idea. As I like to joke, if the mayor held a news conference tomorrow and said, "I am completely convinced that garden gnomes are stealing my socks," and you as a reporter printed, "The mayor said garden gnomes are stealing his socks," are you printing the truth? The answer, of course, is absolutely. That is exactly what the mayor said. Okay? What we have found in our mass commercial media is that you do not have to tell the whole truth. What you say has to be accurate, unless it's opinion, which makes up a large part of what passes off as news nowadays. Okay? But the important thing here is that if you are passing it off as factual, it's supposed to be true, but it's not the whole truth. Now, what does this have to do with the idea of target audiences and gatekeeping? Well, remember what key idea number 4 of media studies is for the purposes of our class. The function of a mass commercial media text is to gather an audience to sell to advertisers. So the first part of that is that you've got to gather the audience. Okay? If telling only part of a story does a better job of gathering an audience than telling the whole story, then it is in the media outlet's best interest to leave out the parts that don't help them gather the audience. So the parts that upset the audience, the parts that offend the audience, the parts that challenge or question the audience's values, practices, their beliefs, their way of life, you simply leave those things out. Okay? So your assignment this week is going to be about finding an article about something that has happened overseas and asking and writing about, when I read about this article published on a US-based news platform for a United States audience, whose voices got left out? What got left out of the story? And why? And here's a big hint about the why. Would have including the excluded voice, would that have helped gather an audience of people living in the United States? Or would it have perhaps turned some of those people away? Those are the sorts of decisions and those are the sorts of discussions that go on all the time amongst editors and news directors and all the people involved in bringing what passes as news to your television, your laptop, your phone. Okay? They're always thinking, does this attract my audience? Does this attract my audience? And even if it's true, if it doesn't attract the audience, it gets left out. I'm Professor Gugis. Looking forward to seeing your responses.